So now this is the second trading day of the week. This was on Tuesday, and this was another trading range day, right? Price is just bouncing up and down, and it was bouncing within the range that had occurred, over the last day. So this is another example that I can see, like, what did I do wrong and what can I improve on? Let's do the exact same thing that we did for the other day, right? Let's do the 150.1 to 1 risk reward ratio on all these trades. Let's do 100.1 to 1 risk reward ratio on all these trades. And let's get rid of the trades that were taken in the lower-ish half of this range. So on this day, there were a total of 70 trades that I took and 44 of them were losses and 26 of them were wins, right? Kind of shitty. 63% of the trades were losses and 37% of the trades were wins. Once again, it was another loss day, but it did not have to be a loss day. Because look at how many trades I was like in and I was up. Like, look at all the green. Yes, there's a lot of red, but look at the green. Like, looking at all these plots, you can see how this should not have happened. 44 losses should not have happened. Look at how many of these losses would have been wins, right? Look how I was up on all of these. But, on a vast majority of them, I was up a good amount. That should have been wins. So let's go over it and let's do what I did on the last example. All right, so now let's go over all these losses and let's see if I implemented 150.1 to 1 risk reward ratio, what would these losses look like? So this is the first loss of the day, right? That would have been a win. 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 These still would have been losses. That still would have been a loss. That would still would have been a loss. That still would have been a loss. That still would have been a loss. That still would have been a loss. But I'm going to move this over. Now, that would have been a win. That would have been a win. These are all wins, 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 wins. That would have been a win. That still would have been a loss. 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 That would have been a win. That would have been a win. That would have been a loss. Loss. Win. Loss. 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 Win. Win. Loss. Win. Loss. 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 Win. Or loss. Loss. Win. Loss. 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 So there still would have been a lot of wins and losses. Don't get me wrong. But look at this percentage. Look at what they would have been. So initially there were 70 trades, right? 44 of them were losses and 26 of them were wins for a 63% loss rate and a 37% win rate. If I'm doing 150 points, then 16 of these losses would have actually been wins. So 44 minus 16, that comes out to actually 28 losses for a 40% win rate. And you add 16 more wins, that comes out to 42 wins with a 60% win rate. So just implementing this alone on every single one of these trades that I took, it would have flipped my win and loss rate, just like that. Flipped it. Would have been a winning day. And now let's do the same thing with 100 points instead of 150 points. If I was trying to do 100.1 to 1 risk reward ratio, then 20 of these losses would have actually been wins. So instead of 44 losses, we would have had 24 losses, which would have been around a 34% loss rate. And we would have added 20 wins, which would have been around 46 wins for about a 66% win rate. So you see how much of a difference it makes just by implementing that alone, just by implementing a set take profit point on all my trades. Like, it's literally that much of a difference. That's the difference between me winning and me losing on every single trade that I took. All I have to do is implement a take profit point, and that's that. But now let's just take the trades that were taken in the upper half and get rid of the ones that were in the lower-ish half, right? Let's do that now. For this example, we're going to be going off of this high because that was the high that previously occurred. And we're going to go off of this low because this was the low that occurred around 7:30 in the morning. So it was pretty early in the morning that it occurred. So that was an important low to pay attention to. So that's the range that we're going to pay attention to for this day. If we were to pay attention to that, and this is any trades that are in this lowerish zone of this range are going to be null and void. They're not going to count. We're going to look at those as if those didn't even happen, right? So now let's do the same thing with the 150.1 to 1 risk reward ratio, right? If we were to do that, that loss, that's a win. 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 That is a loss, unfortunately. But it's okay. None of these trades would have been taken down here, so we're not going to go over those. That's a loss. That's a loss. That's a win. We're going to move over. That's a win. 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 These wouldn't have been taken. None of these down here would have been taken. These would have been taken though. That's a win. That's a win. That's a win. That's a win. That is a loss. That's a win. That's a win. That is a loss. That is a loss. That's a win. 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 Loss. 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 Win. Loss. 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 So there still would have been losses and there still would have been wins. But had I done that, there would have been around 48 trades that I would have taken throughout the day. And out of those 48 trades, there would have been around 28 wins for a 58% win rate and 20 losses for about a 42% win rate. So I still would have flipped my win and loss rate. I would have been at least a little bit over break even. right? But it still would have been a break-even day. It wouldn't have been a loss day. And that was with the 150 point risk-reward ratio. So now let's do 100.1 to 1 risk-reward ratio. That comes out to around 35 wins for a 73% win rate and 13 losses for about a 27% win rate. So it's actually better to implement on this day a 100.1 to 1 risk-reward ratio. And the day before, it was actually worse to implement. You would have won less, but on this day, you would have actually won more. So that's what I'm saying. The market is always different. You never get the same thing every single day. But if you implement a risk-reward ratio that's at least a 1-to-1 and you give it a big enough range, you have a good chance of making money. You have a good chance of coming out on top. And this is how you begin to understand that if I do this, I will turn my losses into wins. There will still be losses that I take throughout the day, but I'll be able to have a majority of wins than losses. And a lot of those losses still would have been wins. They just wouldn't have been 150 point wins. They might have been only like 20 point wins or 30 point wins or 50 point wins. They still would have been wins though. So it's kind of just like you could have won on almost every single trade. If you think about it, you could have won on probably like 85 to 90% of these trades. And I'm saying to the point where you make at least some profit. This is what I do. This is how I understand what I'm doing wrong so that I can begin to improve. So this week coming up, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to improve. I'm going to take what is given to me. I know that if I take what's given to me, I'm going to come out on top. Like the proof is in the pudding. The numbers are there. They don't lie. So all I got to do is take what's given to me. That's all I'm going to do. If I do that over time, I'm going to be a very wealthy man. But I got to be patient. But I know if I continue to do what I'm doing, I'm there. Just got to keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, that's everything I want to say in this video. So let me end this video correctly. So there you have it. With the simple implementation of a take profit, instead of just letting my trades go, that simple implementation will completely change my trading. That's all I got to do, right? If I do that, I'm going to have way more win days than loss days, right? And that was on a trading range day. That's not even on a trend day. If you get a trend day where it's just going up and up and up and up and up, or down and down and down and down and down, and there's never like any bounce like what was occurring on what I was showing you, then I've had 90% win rate days. I've had 100% win rate days. Like, it's possible to do that. And those are the days where I've had like the $1,000 days and multiple $1,000 days is on those trend days. But trading range days occur more than trend days. So that's why you have to understand how to trade these. And that's why it's just better to just take what's given to you and not be too greedy. You can see when I'm greedy, I lose. But if I'm not greedy, if I just take what's given to me and I take the meat of the move, then I'm successful, right? Then I'm successful. It's that simple. So that's all I gotta do. I just gotta keep doing that. And I just gotta keep analyzing my trades, going over what I'm doing wrong to keep perfecting my craft. And eventually, you know, there's no way I'm gonna get 100% of my trades right. But my goal is to get to around 85 to 90%. If I can do that, oh my, that would literally mean that on 10 trades that I take, I'm going to win on 8 or 9 of them. That's fucking amazing. So that's the goal. That is absolutely the goal. I hope that you guys gain some knowledge and insight into like how I trade in this and also just how to improve your trading, because you can do it. Anybody can improve their craft in anything that you do. You just got to practice and practice and practice. This is part of practice. But on that note, love, understanding, courage, integrity, and faith is all that we need to strive for in order for us to reach towards our true potential to infinity. We all have infinity within us. All we have to do is choose to live infinitely. So embrace the infinite. On that note, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Whoosh.